Hi fellow ENTPs, I've been issued a challenge to make a video that is explicitly by an ENTP for an ENTP and is not intended for any other member of the audience. Now initially I kind of laughed at this challenge and thought it demonstrative of a typically ENTP desire to establish hierarchy with oneself on top in terms of, no, I'm not going to let you have any authority, which is a good instinct to have, alright? I'm totally down with that. I've got it too, of course. Now look, I think more than any other type, we are more like each other probably, in the sense that we share a common set of extremes, so it's easy to draw comparisons. So what am I going to do here? I'm giving myself 10 minutes to cover as much shit as I possibly can without any notes or anything, because that's what an ENTP does. Alright, so let's start at the beginning. To have any kind of meaningful analysis of the universe, you've got to start with a theory of truth. You've got to understand what your theory of truth is before you can go any further than that, really. And that is because any analysis of reality is necessarily a linguistic exercise. There may be science or some sort of activity type thing that we can use to prove this or that or whatever. But fundamentally, an analysis of reality is linguistic based because the universe is a single set comprised of nothing but the set of all that which can be named. If it can't be named, it doesn't exist. Remember that. Think about it. You can disprove me. Come up with an example. Right? See how it works? Okay. So now that we've established that all the universe is that which can be named, then obviously the names matter considerably. So when we go into understanding what the universe is, we need to begin with the top level taxonomy that says that which can be named, and anything that's not that goes on the outside of it, but we can't. As far as we know, it's a null set. Next, got your theory of truth. Is truth going to be determined in your mind by a truth carrier function, a truth bearer function, something like that? And that means, are you going to say, well, I believe you said this sentence, I looked at reality, reality does not reflect what the sentence you said, there's a contradiction there, therefore you are lying or wrong? Or is it going to be a correspondence theory of truth that says, well, it's really about, I'm going to look to what everybody else says that sentence should mean, like consensus understanding the definition of words, or look to the dictionary basically. And then there's an emergent theory of truth that says, well, it's actually just, it's primitivist and it can't be reduced any further, and it's just an emergent quality of grammar, which is probably closest to the accurate description of it. However, inadequate because it provides no further explanation. So when we're actually looking at truth, what we want to do is look at it as a relational thing, which is to say, but not relational to other people's opinions, but relational to intention, because truth is determinant of intention. If I intend to tell you a lie, then I'm lying. If I intend to tell you the truth and it turns out I'm wrong, quote unquote, then I'm wrong. If I intend to tell you the truth and you say I'm wrong, and then I say, well, no, I think I'm right, then it's a matter in dispute. And the truth value of the thing is determined by comparing it against the intention, not anything else. So, for example, if I say, silence is golden, well, then I am affirming a sentence without a meaningful truth value, but that's yet nevertheless a statement, so definitely has a truth value, and I'm saying the value of it is true. And yet it's a metaphor, so how could it possibly be true? It's not literally true. Can we just have a truth theory that distinguishes between metaphor and non-metaphor? Are we aware of the extent to which we use metaphor every day, in every single word we say practically? It's almost constant. And if you want to avoid metaphor, you're going to have to use English prime. English prime removes all be verbs. Remember, using the verb to be necessarily means that you are going to be making metaphorical statements. You can't say, I am a teacher, or I am a whatever, without making a metaphorical statement, because you are not static, and therefore your language is going to be inadequate to describe that process in a meaningful way. It can only symbolize it, because language is itself static. Now, this is a key thing to remember. Where we can come into trouble in life is that we forget the language is static, and we forget the codification is of limited use because language is more flexible than itself in a static form. When we turn an idea into a time object, let's say a law, for example, we make legislation because we've come up with a bunch of ideas and related to a bunch of axioms, and we decide that this isn't in keeping with principle, it's more in keeping with our desire to disrupt or whatever else. We may or may not be fully conscious of that, we may or may not be acknowledging that to ourselves, but it's in there, our own personal motivations are in there as well. And not necessarily so, because as we are manifesting force vectors throughout the world, those force vectors, the totality of those vectors from birth to death, that comprises our identity. We are not any of the things we think we might be in a given moment. We are that comprised and built identity. Now for the ENTP especially, because of our cognitive function stack, we are less intuitive sense of ourselves as a concrete and finite and stable being than does any other type. It's necessarily so because we are the disruptors. So that means we're going to be disruptive towards other people's ideas. We're also going to be disruptive towards systems. We're going to do things like this. What Henry James did today, it may have been as simple as I reduced it to. It may have been more complicated. Regardless, it evoked this response from me, which means I have taken the challenge to heart and said, okay, I'm going to fucking try to go fast then. Fuck you, you know? Which is why, because I'm competitive. Why? Because I'm an ENTP. Did this guy probably anticipate that this was going to evoke this much response from me? It's not even a negative comment exactly. It's just being an ENTP. That's the thing. My initial response was just joy at it because it was such a straight up ENTP thing to do. And then I thought, well, hell, I might as well try to take this challenge. So again, we're talking about a personality style that is going to be making quick changes of degree, 90 degrees, whatever, every which way, every day. So, for example, for me, I put up shitloads of videos. I can tackle these things one at a time as I feel like it and pivot accordingly. So I wasn't happy with the last response I put up. It seemed a little productive. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, shit, I should probably actually try to meet this challenge. So having established now that the theory of truth is important, and having established that it needs to be relational in the sense that I indicated, to intention, not to reality, so to speak, then we can make a distinction between what are called time objects and space objects, which is a time object is that which requires energy to persist. But that's going to be on the video coming up pretty soon. I'm not going to repeat that because you can see it on the video pretty soon. But anyway, the point is this. Once you've established your understanding of language and how symbols are going to be working for you and what they mean and what the meta framework is and the framework is. Now, this is important because you have to understand that as an ENTP, we need to construct our identities. We cannot sit around and wait for them to happen. We cannot fall into the examples of our fathers and our grandfathers and assume that that's going to be adequate. It's going to be adequate in terms of fulfilling our duty to reality. I think we each have a duty to reality. I am one who positions my experience in the larger scheme of things as not particularly significant, but as the larger scheme of things as leading to something significant for each of us. And I want to be a part of that to the extent that I can. And that means necessarily adding to communicative wholes. Now, obviously, I don't really think that people have an adequate amount of intellectual fortitude that they direct towards issues of public policy, issues of technology, issues of how to treat other people, issues of life and living in general. And that's necessarily going to be the case when you have an S-dominant population that basically wants to go to the beach and do yoga and have raw foods and play in the park and go to baseball games and all that kind of shit, right? If you like that stuff, I like that stuff too. Occasionally, sometimes, kind of as an interesting, odd phenomenon. I like baseball games, okay, I guess. I liked them more when I drank. I don't really watch sports anymore. I don't really watch TV anymore. The reason? Well, because I stopped being satisfied. I just stopped being satisfied. And that's the bottom line. There's no reason for us to be satisfied. And I think that one of the reasons we fight so hard to be satisfied is that a lot of people in our lives, if you're like me, have been telling you there's something wrong with you. Or that you need to tone it down. Or that, Eric, can you just let us do the easy way instead of challenging this thing again? Or looking embarrassed and then walking out of the room because you said something mean, or whatever else fucking thing, or like quitting your program because you pissed her, and pulling your kid from my program because I pissed her mother off, that kind of shit. I mean, it's not that big of a deal in the sense that it's one kid, but I like that kid a lot, I liked her. She was cool. She was a good debater too. I was sorry to lose her, and she and I didn't have any problems with the mom, And that's my job as a professional, is to be the adult and not sacrifice that relationship with the kid just because I'm pissed off with the mom who's being unpleasant. So, look, I don't know if this is fast enough for you, Henry James. I'll make another one. I'll go faster. See, you issued a challenge in terms of speed to a policy debater. I'm a policy debater, foreign policy debater, and a current policy debate coach. So, if I were to prep this shit, I could spread the fuck out of it, and there's no way in hell you'd be able to keep up. Now you've issued me a challenge. I should do that. Let's see. I'll fucking spread an advocacy. What's something you believe in, and I'll advocate against it. I'll spread it, and we'll see how you do. What do you say? Huh? Yeah? Eric Strauss, video maker, demonstrator of ENTP ways. I'm a little disappointed in myself, actually. I didn't know I was going to go here in this video. Yeah. Is that insecurity? Or is it just reflexive fight? Is it, what am I defending there? I mean, there's nothing to defend. Interesting. Well, narrow focus here. I'm talking to you guys, the ENTPs. If you feel me, you feel me. If you don't, you don't. You might as well just choose not to. Is as likely a choice as any. If you're like, well, I don't want to identify with you because you think I should. And fuck you. That is a very normal response, I would guess. Thanks for watching anyway. Welcome. I'd like to be teammates somehow, but it's impossible because we all fucking hate each other. We don't all hate each other. I like some of the interviews. I've met some nice ones up here too. We can get along fine, but we just have to really stay away from the competitive stuff. Anyway, that's what I feel like right there. I feel like, oh, Eric. I feel like my FE is talking to me. Thanks for watching.